It's gonna be exciting. Talk to Batman. I'm excited. I'm very curious because Nick and I have not discussed our thoughts yet. I mean, I did my review, but I have no idea where he's coming from. So, be interesting. I'm sure we'll just fight about it stupidly because we're adult men on the internet. So I'm sure it'll be
I love you.
highly uncivilized.
I love you both.
You're both right.
You're both handsome boys.
Come on.
I don't know his middle name. Where's Colin?
Oh, Nick?
Yeah.
I don't know if he wants me to just like blast it out before he gets here.
Nick Charles.
I'll tell you off screen. He might tell you, probably doesn't care. Like whatever. No, we're live.
I know. I'm just looking.
So yeah, hurry up and join in because we are going to talk everything the Batman.
Let's talk about something else randomly while we're waiting on Nick.
Okay. What are we going to talk about?
I don't know.
Well done. Just for you comic book nerds, there's somebody now. But yeah, so we're just waiting for Nick to show up, and we're going to talk all things the Batman. So hopefully you've seen it. And also, if you have, make sure you put those. There you are. Hey. Hang on, I got you. Send invite. Send those comments and stuff in. Below. We'll talk about those stuff on air because we want your guys' opinion as well. It's gonna be a good time.
Yay.
I did see today Paul Dano. Hey.
Hey. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm feeling like garbage, but I'm here to talk about Batman, and I'll do my best.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Like I said, two adult men discussing their opinions on the Batman. This will be incredibly uncivil, so it'll be just like the rest of the internet.
Yes. Oh. So, you want to go ahead and ready to get started?
Yeah, no, go for it. Like I said, let me turn that up so I can hear you. Go ahead. What were your thoughts going? Because you saw it a week later, right? You saw it last week?
I did. I saw it last weekend. I went out and went shooting Saturday, and I had a long day that day, did a lot of stuff. Then I bought tickets to go see the 10 o'clock show downtown at the Dolby Theater. Do you have any Dolby theaters down there?
There's one at Quail. At Quail Springs, there's one.
So it's a pretty nice setup. The chairs are comfy. The picture's got a little bit better contrast to it, and it's got the sound is really where it's at.
Oh yeah.
Since I'm old, I'm like, oh yeah, I love comfy chairs. I went for the Dolby over the IMAX, and that's how I went to go see many movies like Blade Runner 2040. No, I went and saw that in IMAX. It's how I try to go see most big blockbuster movies that are very visually impressive, and I figured this one would warrant that because I knew there was a lot of visuals to this movie, and a lot that would really pop on the big screen. So going in, I have my expectations. I have a lifetime of expectations of what it is, what a good Batman product is. I say my biggest three influence of how I view Batman is Batman '89 because we're the right age for that. And that was so huge when we were younger. Batman the Animated Series, which we grew up with, and is, in my opinion, probably still the finest Batman product ever brought to screen overall. And the first comic series I really remember getting into at Batman was the Batman Nightfall back in the early to mid 90s, where he, that long running series where he fights a bunch of people and ends up running the bank, gets his back broken. Spoiler alert for a nearly 30-year-old comic series. Uh, that those things really form my
I
opinion
want to
of
say
what.
you're the first. Yeah, I want to say you're the first person. Like I remember reading that book, and I think you're the one who introduced me to that look, that John Paul Valley, that pseudo Batman suit he has.
Yes, I love anything robotic and power armor as it's been established. So I love the John Paul Valley look. You know, Bane managed to wear him down, so John Paul Valley puts on power armor and goes to town on Bane. But you know, things don't work out, and John Paul Valley turns out to be more of a killer, and we have the whole deal with Azrael, and who's come back in many different incarnations over the years, shows up in the Arkham series. So that was some early influence. I love that early 90s art style for the Batman comics. So I was, going in, I've seen all the Batman movies, and they're hit or miss. Some are pretty good. Uh, some are entertaining in a bad way. Like, I enjoy Batman Forever. I remember that was one of the first movies we bonded over, was Batman Forever. And it's an entertaining movie.
Yep.
It's got problems and some very bizarre casting, but it's an entertaining movie, and Batman and Robin is terrible. And, then we got back to the grounded Dark Knight trilogy, and things were grittier and whatnot, and more based in realism. And I really like that trilogy. I feel it lost a little bit of the magic trying to be too real. As much as I love those, as much as I especially love the Dark Knight. Then you get back into the more fantastical elements of the newer movies featuring Batman, because you have Batman versus Superman and Justice League. Neither one of them are really Batman movies. They're movies that Batman is in, which is a shame that we never got a full-on Batman movie with Ben Affleck, because I thought he was great in the role. So going in, there's going to be high expectations for something like this, and especially as it appears they're taking it in a different direction. And I won't hold off anymore. I think they did an absolutely stellar job. I think this movie is absolutely excellent, and I love the directions they took. They did some unexpected things, and it panned out so well. I was skeptical going in, I can't lie. I have a certain archetype I think Batman should fit, but Robert Pattinson made me believe he was Batman. He filled that role, and he played it differently, but I bought it. I did. And there's some, not that I have no issues with the movie, I do, but stylistically, writing-wise, action-wise, the tone they took with it, I think they just absolutely nailed it. They made a Batman movie I didn't know I wanted. And to say it impressed me is an understatement. And I honestly, going in, I thought it would be good. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. The casting, they made some unusual choices, but it pays off. It's people who I would have never expected in the role. And some of them, like Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman, that was great casting to begin with. She's an awesome fit for that role. And Paul Dano as the Riddler, he's the weird indie film guy. I could definitely see him playing the Riddler. But they talked about Jeffrey Wright and as not yet Commissioner Gordon, and especially Colin Farrell as the Penguin. I thought that is some odd casting. That is never in a million years. So they put together a top 100 list of people to play Penguin. Colin Farrell wouldn't show up on the list, not because he isn't talented, just because I just would never think he's the right fit for that role. I was wrong. Yeah. He's an excellent fit for the role. They absolutely nailed it. I really loved their rendition of the Penguin. As for issues I had with this movie, I think it's missing one character in the movie that barely shows up, and that's Bruce Wayne. He's not in the movie very much, and there's not as much of a differentiation between Batman and Bruce Wayne. I would have liked to have seen a little more of Bruce Wayne, and because you have the dichotomy, the Jekyll and Hyde, if you will, of Bruce Wayne and Batman. But I also realize this is early in Batman's career, and I think they're going to flesh that out more as it goes forward. I really think that was part of it is he hasn't forced the two separate identities yet. I think that's coming. So I don't particularly hold that against this in the movie, against the movie. And it was nothing. And as for Batman and Bruce Wayne, nothing was wrong with how it's portrayed with Robert Pattinson. It's just said Bruce Wayne's not in the movie very much. And I agree with your assessment. It's probably a little too long. I honestly don't know what I would cut, because some of the things like towards the end you weren't overly fond of, I actually thought added to the story. I say this, and nearly 3 hours long, I was never bored. And saying that in the 3 hour long mystery thriller movie that's something that they managed to pace it that well and hold my interest. I'm there at 10 o'clock at night. I'm exhausted. I almost didn't go see it, but it woke me up and held my interest the whole time. And I left feeling so glad I went to see it. So anybody who's joining us, that's my short review of The Batman is excellent. In my opinion, it is the top 2 best Batman movies of all time. The other one I hold in high esteem is Dark Knight. And behind those two would have put Batman 89. But I don't know if it takes my top spot because of how well done The Dark Knight is, especially in the villain department. But they made a truly different and excellent Batman movie. It's not what you expect going in, but it went in a really refreshing direction. They really did something different than they had done before, and it just works on every level. So, if you want to at this point, we can get spoiler talk and talk some of your thoughts on this.
Yeah. We'll be for a while, Justin. So yeah, go ahead. No, great. We are in complete agreement. Stream over. No. No,
Sorry if you came in.
Like I like to know it. Huh? I like the Nolan trilogy.
I said sorry if you came here for conflict and for us to argue about it.
You son of a
Someday we'll get this figured out, and I won't have a massive
movie,
delay.
He's supposed to be that way.
Yeah. You go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, to me it's up there. Like I still love 89. I love The Dark Knight. Reassessing that trilogy, there is one major problem that runs through that whole trilogy. It's Nolan's whole thing. That two things. One of it is Nolan's coldness. Like everything has to be is so clinical, and the fact is Bale's Batman, which is it's just the way he's written. Is like the minute Bale becomes Batman, he can't wait to not be Batman. And then, whereas in this movie, I think the idea of him not having the separation between Wayne and Batman is the idea of he doesn't want to be Bruce Wayne. And I think we'll get to like fantasy book at the end, but I think we're gonna see a jump into the next one where we will get that Playboy / Dark Knight. No, I loved it. And actually, when we were watching it, I was sitting there, and like I said, with all the stuff coming to me from like the 90s and everything, like those 90s horror cop movies, Seven and Kiss the Girls and whatnot. I was like, I think this is gonna surprise Nick. I think he's really gonna like this aesthetic and this take on it. Honestly, then I went and watched it last night again, just so I could be like all completely in on it. And I'm watching this movie, and I know a lot of people, and even me included, were like, "Well, it's Fincher this, and this is Fincher, that's Fincher. It's done by Fincher." Honestly, rewatching it was all I could think of was like this almost kind of feels like Alex Proyas's Batman. And I was like, I wonder what Nick thinks about that. Like when you think of like movies like The Crow, like Dark City, like this kind of has like a 90s Alex Proyas feel to it.
I'll be honest, I didn't remember that was the director's name, but I didn't think of The Crow. I definitely thought of Dark City. That definitely struck me while I was watching this. And I think a lot of that the dank sepia tone look of the 90s really fits here. Like Seven, like Fallen, and whatnot. Of just things are dreary and the urban decay. And they did such a great job of making the setting come to life. Of Gotham's just this nasty cesspool, and things have gone so bad here. It's crime riddled.
Yeah.
It's gross. They made the Gotham a character in and of itself. I have to go let my dog out. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Oh no, you're good. So yeah, I was not. I'll tell you full disclosure. I was ready for. I'm a little taken aback. I really thought that. I don't know, because it's a great movie. Who doesn't want to think it's great? But it was just like, oh. But no, I agree. Like when you think of the other stuff, I know it's not fair to compare and contrast, but like when you think of Burton's Gotham City, it's just like it's Burton. Like it's just 100% Burton, and then Schumacher is 100% Schumacher, for better or worse. And then Nolan's is like, because it's so real, it's just like, well, it's Chicago. Like you expect Batman to eat a dog at Wrigley. Like it's just Chicago. And this is the first time I think they actually got the character. This is what Gotham should be, just gross. You want to live there, it sucks.
It feels they did a good job. Burton in the '90s movies did a fairly good job of making Gotham tangible, but it's really cartoony, and that fit more with the tone.
Yeah.
But they managed to nail Gotham and make it feel gritty, but not nearly as cartoony. And I don't think that cartoony Gotham would have fit in as well in this movie.
No.
But just the cinematography, I know a lot of people
it feels like 70s New York never got better, is what this kind of reminds me of. Like a Taxi Driver-esque New York City never got better.
Yes. And that is another movie that has drawn comparisons to this, is Taxi Driver. And even Robert Pattinson had talked about that, about how there was some influence from Taxi Driver and the character, like his grapple gun, which he has the apparatus on his arm that it shoots into his hand. He can use it. That was the Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver had the same basic apparatus with a gun on it. And the tone of his vigilante against these absolutely overwhelming odds, and just everything's deteriorating around him. And it's, of course, there are some similarities, but it has a few influences from it, rather than just lifting things off of it. But I could see some of the comparisons. I know there were complaints that the movie was too dark, but I don't see that. I thought it was well lit enough. It's supposed to be dark. It's about the Dark Knight, a guy who runs around in black and white. So, but
yeah, funny enough, when we went, Amber and Ashton went, we all went to UConn, which is it's an AMC, big AMC theater. They have the plush seats, all that good stuff. And it was dark. And then last night I was like, I don't have time to go out of town. I'll just go watch it here in Weatherford. And the Weatherford Theater here, more than anybody, is notorious for not being the best up-to-date theater. In fact, one of the theaters still has the stain on it on the screen from when I'm pretty sure I was in college. There's a stain on the screen. It's just there on the actual screen. But it was a lot lighter here than it was in UConn. And actually, there's a lot of stuff that I missed in UConn that I actually saw more clearly in the second viewing, with how brighter it was on that screen than it was. Which I think the same theater I went to, it was in the same room where I saw Dr. Sleep in that theater in UConn, and it was really, really dark compared to watching it like at home or something. So maybe it's just that theater, but yeah, it wasn't nearly as dark the second time around. And I guess that would definitely play a big part.
And
I missed a lot of stuff.
And there are those moments where it's dark and there's a light shines and you kind of put your hand up because it's so bright. I really like the effect that added of it's dark, you get the burning light in your eyes all of a sudden. I don't know, it added some texture to it. And it was jarring at times, but you get a bright light shine on you in the dark, it is jarring. And it's just, I'm not sure if that was what they were going for, but it was another element I just thought added to the overall experience of building a Gotham, building this world. And the world felt real. I agree. It's not as grounded in reality as the Dark Knight trilogy. I didn't think it needed to be. I would say it's
Yeah.
just off center of
No,
reality.
I would.
Things aren't super fantastical, and they're a lot more grounded in reality, but it still keeps that kind of comic book magic of it as well. Whereas I said, The Dark Knight, you kind of lost some of that and trying to make it so real. And it worked well in some respects, but I like that they went this direction in the Batman, that they kept a little more fantastical in the various feats he does. And
Yeah.
I have to say, the gear he has in this movie, I think they just did an awesome job with the bat suit, the bat cave, and especially the Batmobile. That chase scene with the penguin.
I was like, okay, so like, I was like, yeah, the Batmobile. I love the Batmobile. At first, I thought when I first saw the pictures, I was like, okay, it's gonna be just a souped up car. But no, that scene right before the chase where he just starts revving it and it's just screaming, and like he almost like floods it just to like make it jump at him, and then he takes off after him. That's one of my favorite Batmobiles immediately.
It's got that hand-built look, like he built a frame and a chassis and a roll cage and just kind of bolted some cool looking stuff around it and put this massive engine in the rear.
Yeah.
And it's an absolute monster of a car. And it's built for speed and to take a beating. It's got super wide tires and it looks terrifying. When it's chasing down the penguin, that part where Kool-Aid Man's through the fire and that semi-trailer and burst through. Even though I seen it in the trailer, it still was awesome to see it in the big screen because it was terrifying to see that thing burst out of there and through the flames. And I'm trying to think how it would compare to other Batmobile chases, but if it's not the best, it's up there. They did, and I'm sure the Batmobile in future incarnations.
Sorry.
I'm sure it'll be more refined in future incarnations. But I love the raw look of it. Yes, I don't know what else would beat it. I know that Dark Knight had some cool chases with the Tumbler, but I don't think, like I said, I don't think any of them beat this one for the chase. And how well used the Batmobile was.
The coolest thing the Tumbler ever did became the motorcycle. I never was a fan of the Tumbler. To me, it's also the same problem with the Arkham Knight video game Batmobile. It's just too big. I love the 89 one, but again, you have to like fire a grapple gun to make a left turn.
Yeah, that thing was that. Go ahead.
Sorry. Finish your thought. No, I was just going to keep going about this particular Batmobile that chase. Like I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm just like giddy because I'm loving the Batmobile. But I'm also like, this dude filmed this Batman car chase like he's making Mad Max. Like it was the most Mad Max car chase I've seen outside of the Mad Max movies. Like even the way he filmed it, like the close-ups in the mirrors and stuff like that, I was like, "This made Mad Max a Batman chase."
That's a pretty apt comparison. And that's in the Batmobile wouldn't look out of place at all in Mad Max Fury Road. That it's got that look, and it's. I saw some of the early pictures of it, and I thought, I'm not sure if this is the direction to go. For what amounts to the early Batman career here, I think it was an awesome choice to have this raw, rumbly, nasty Batmobile. It wasn't loaded down with features, but it went fast and could take a beating and looked terrifying while doing it. So, again, they took it in an unexpected direction. I like the Tumbler myself. I feel it's a design sort of based in reality. I don't know about the whole, rocket on the back of it, if that would work, but I thought it was it was different. but it definitely didn't have the
Yeah.
flat out speed of a lot of the other ones had, like this one had. But and as for other gear, I gotta say they really thought his suit out in this. They put a lot of thought and detail into his suit. What'd you think of the suit?
I love the suit. And again, when you first see those pictures, and you're like, why does the bat cape have like this big collar on it? But it makes, I think it gives you that look that you want, but also it gives you that head turn without him looking like scrawny neck, like the bat. That's my big complaint about the Dark Knight suit is he looks like a bobblehead. Because it's like he's Christian Bale, and then he's got this little bitty neck, and then the big fat Batman head on it. But no, I love the suit. I love the bat symbol being the Batarang, and then just all like the stuff you wouldn't think about it. All these Batman movies you would never think about. Oh, he has an injection spot in his pants for adrenaline or whatever. You know, things you would never ever think about. And how much they actually play off of how bulletproof it is, how much it can take, but also still hurts when you get shot.
Oh yeah. The collar initially didn't like the look, but I realized that actually has basis in reality. When I was in Iraq, our body armor, we had collars too, because it protects this very vital area from shrapnel. And I get to see how that would stop shrapnel or maybe a knife attack you're trying to come in. That's that extra bit of protection without having the bobblehead look of I can't turn my head, which love Batman 89, but the fights are clunky because the suit's really immobile. And that's one thing you brought up with this is in your review is Batman has a speed we haven't seen. And a lot of it is based on the bat suit being practical, being mobile, and having the necessary features built in so he can perform the missions he does. He can move efficiently, he can still shrug off bullets, and he has things that are his equipment's handy. I said I love the arm apparatus with his grappling gun. I love that he used that in the police station, and he used it to pull the legs out from underneath one of the Riddler goons. It's put to good use. I hope to see more of that in the future. I love that the bat symbol was the utility knife in his chest. That it was he didn't have wasted space on his suit. If he had either armor or something he could use, and that was a great place to put it. You can just get it, pull it off, and use it for whatever he needs. The one really awesome part, that they in the old movies he just had the in the Dark Knight he had that fabric on his cloth he could electrify and glide, which is cool. It didn't make a ton of sense, but when he's escaping the police station and he folds up his cape into the wingsuit and inflates it, that was pretty brilliant. I love that design because I could see something like that actually working if you had it set up in a way to make it efficient, and a built-in parachute because you're gliding off a building, you're going to be going really damn fast. And that part where he pulls the parachute and it catches on the overpass and smacks him up.
No, so that's what I was going to say is I love that he has the wherewithal to make it, but then like when it happens, you're like, oh crap, he really didn't test it as well as he probably should have. Because when he eats crap coming off that overpass, you're just like, okay, he is still learning. Like he had the wherewithal to be like, I need something to glide, but then like, should have done a test drive.
It was obviously like, I should have tested it. This is a last resort thing, but he didn't have much of a choice. So you can see the hesitation. He comes up to the edge and looks down. It's like, I hope this works, because if it doesn't, I'm dead. And it mostly works.
Yeah.
I love that you see that with his equipment, you see that he's learning in the flaws. The hand stitching on the helmet, the scratches on it that make it tangible. It took me a little while to figure out. So on his gauntlets, he has those metal rods, right?
Yeah. I think
do you know what those are?
the grapples, isn't it? I think it's the grapples.
Yeah, it's
like
the
spare
bolts
grapples.
for his grappling. Yeah, and I didn't initially click with me. I had to look that up, but it's a great place to keep it, and it adds a little bit of extra rigidity to your arm too. So, somebody's trying to bash Batman's head in with a baseball bat. Hey, that's a little more protection he's got. Again, back to the there's no wasted space on it. It's my favorite incarnation of the bat suit. It's not completely realistic, but it's close enough to make me think, yeah, a billionaire could put this together and go out and kick some serious ass in it.
Yeah.
And that first, but he's not invulnerable. He can take bullet shots to the portions, that part where one of the Joker pulls out a gun and shoots him, and he recoils his shoulder back because, yeah, it will deflect the bullet, but that's going to hurt like hell. And the realistic reaction he has to getting hurt and hit, just like, oh man, I can make it through, but this really sucks. You know, he jumps into the middle of that Joker gang, and they smack him in the back with a bat, and they are. And hold on a second.
You're good. No, the thing about I love the suit is I know a lot of people kind of complained about the belt, like he has the big like gunny sack on his leg. But to me, this is the first time in all of these movies, even Nolan's movies, where having a utility belt makes sense. Like it's feasible to have stuff on it. You know, the little gold belt that has all my tools in it is ridiculous. So I like that he has the extra pockets and stuff. And you don't see it all the time, you know, but he has it when he needs it. Like you said, like it's his arsenal, and it makes sense to have the extra storage as opposed to just, you know, a little leather belt that has all your stuff you're ever gonna need on it, kept on it.
Yeah, the old yellow belt that has all those capsules in it that somehow keep absolutely everything you would need in a space about that big. But no, I love the detail with the drop leg rig, the pouch he had on his, I think it was his right leg. I've used those myself in combat. Mm-hmm. They're really handy, and it's the kind of thing you would carry because they can hold a lot of crap for when things go wrong. And that's what impressed me, is how much thought went into, I'm gonna go fight crime hand to hand. How can I optimize things for a variety of situations? And I think they did a good job of matching it with Robert Pattinson. I said before, a big issue with Robert Pattinson is I didn't think he quite had the physicality for the role. The way they portrayed him, I was totally wrong, because this Batman is quick. He's light on his feet. He's not as much of the I'm going to dangle a dude off a building one-handed. It's I'm going to get in, get my head, use the space properly, use gadgets if I need to, but move quickly and try to minimize the risk to myself. In some ways, this version of Batman reminds me Daredevil, combat-wise, from like the Netflix Daredevil, of the way he moves and how he fights. And that's high praise coming from me, because I love the Daredevil series and that's portrayed, but I think that was a different direction to go in this. But again, it paid off, because with his equipment, how he looked and everything, I believed he was Batman. He made me believe. And it was, and I'm more hung up on the physicality of people for roles more than most, but they tweaked it and did really well with it to make him think like, this dude, he kicks some ass. He's going to take some hits along the way, but he really thought about things, prepared and trained for this. And you could tell it's early on, but it's kind of you get to see the thing that there are things to come, and the more he refines the suit and his combat ability of what he'll be capable of in the future.
I just hope they don't refine the suit. Like it's gonna look more sleek. I just afraid that they don't make it to what we've seen. Like honestly, if they kind of kept it more I don't know if you played the game. I feel like this is a good prototype for what we could see if they upgrade it to, like, say, the Arkham Knight suit from the Arkham Knight game, that last Batman game, like, to where it is more like what you standard Batman suit, but it is still that functionality that we haven't seen in Batman before. That's what I don't want it to become like the next movie he comes out in rubber.
No. I would love it if they did something like the Arkham Knight suit, because that's another one they put a lot of thought into it and making it look iconic. But it's got like the liquid armor and whatnot in it, all these things to make it where he can still move and function. As he refines his technique and his armor more, I could see it going in a direction like that. You know, if you look at the armor from Arkham Origins to Arkham Knight, you can really see that evolution of it. And I think that's probably what we'll see as the series goes on. Again, I'm with you. I don't want it to get too weird and fantastical with the suit, no bat nipples or anything like that, and I want him to still be able to move his neck. But I think there's some interesting directions they can go and add more things into the suit while still keeping the same practical, tactical appearance and functionality of it. And I hope they do, and I have every reason to believe they will. So, as far as gadgets go,
what did you
here's the big
about...
question. This is what everyone.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll get to you in a second.
We may be on the same page. Go ahead.
What was in the vial he shot into his leg?
It's adrenaline. I know the internet wants to call it venom. I think it's just adrenaline. I don't think so.
So why do you?
And I've seen pictures of some people who were like, it's green, but I've seen like pictures of like injectable adrenaline that has that kind of a piss color. I think it was just adrenaline. I don't think they're going to set up the Venom story. Probably
not. It could be a nod to it. One other theory I heard was it was Miracle, which is the drug that Our Man used, Golden Age superhero. And it can enhance their abilities temporarily, but it can also cause you to be hyper-aggressive. I don't know. If it was just adrenaline, that's fine, because that makes sense in context of, he's fading out. Then I love they had a port in his leg to shoot it into. That's another brilliant design feature of, I'm going to probably need something like this at some point. And he gets amped up and start clobbering the dude. That was great. And just, he's pissed off. I'm sure he's tired and sore, and he's had enough of the Riddler's bullshit. So he's just taking it out on this dude after he gets pumped full of adrenaline. And it's just, that's a realistic response to that situation. So, gadgets.
And I like that it does. Another thing that makes me think it's adrenaline is it ties into that scene earlier in the police station where, where the cop tries to grab his mask and like he's ready to fight 50 cops in a room, and Gordon has to be like, "Hey man, like cool down." So I think they did establish that, in a pinch, like he still has that anger, that he hasn't mastered the anger part of being Batman yet. He hasn't honed it.
Yes. So
keep going with
covered the gadgets.
What did you think of the mask?
The mask?
I know a lot of people are really torn on the mask. What did you think of the mask?
I think it looked realistic, like it's something hand stitched. Probably has a little bit of padding in there and leather, and something that would be practical and usable that you can make yourself. I think it fits very well with this version of the Batman. I think we'll see it look different later on as he incorporates more features into it. For the basically year 1, year 2 of the Batman, I think it fitted. I think it fitted great, and I love the handmade look of it. It's not something I would have expected to like, but no, it's good. What do you think?
No, I liked it. Like I know, like a lot of people didn't like the flatness of the nose, but it felt like he made, like you said, like he made a mask. He was like, people are gonna shoot at the head, so like I'm gonna put there's probably Kevlar or something in there, and so you can't hammer that into a point. I like the look of it. A lot of people were complaining that it kind of looks like the '60s Batman, but I don't see that. You're reading too much into that.
No.
I like that they give him the jawline.
No.
I like to give him the full jawline, so it's not just, hey, like when you make the joke about Batman in the summertime, the Batman tan, where he's just like, hey. And I usually hate. I'm usually a Frank Miller. Like, I like my little ears. I'm not a big fan of the tall ears, but I like the big ears on this suit. I don't think the little ears would fit with this Batman.
No, I think that they give them a little more height and intimidation. They're really sharp. I think the combination of the mask and how it's cut and Robert Pattinson's jawline, that dude has the Batman jaw. Holy cow. It's just like that chiseled big jaw. And I know that's a weird thing to gush over, but man, it looks dead on. Because Batman is a square-jawed, masculine dude, and it's just the cut of the bat mask and just how he looked. It went into believing, yep, that's Batman.
All right.
Again,
so
I have weird things I look for.
What are you talking about?
I want to talk about the other characters and the cast.
Okay.
Let's start with. You talked about Andy Serkis as Alfred. Again, not somebody I would have expected. I thought he was great in the role and has the kind of, as you said, the violence in his past. I am a little disappointed we didn't get to see more of him in this movie, though.
No, I agree. And honestly, I've seen a lot of people talk recently about who was the best, and that's the thing about all these movies, good or bad, they've all had great Alfreds. It just kind of depends what you want. I know a lot of people just go immediately to Michael Caine. Honestly, my favorite iteration of Alfred, and I hope it's kind of what we get with Serkis, is I didn't say constant in the show, but Sean Petrie from Gotham. Maybe it was because I loved him in Event Horizon and Dog Soldiers, but he has that little bit of like, hey, I'm Alfred, I'm a butler, but like if we're in a bar fight, I might stab you in the throat. Maybe. I don't know. I am a distinguished gentleman, but I might cut you.
I hope we'll see him expanded upon down the line, and I think we will. I was worried about the Spider-Man 3 syndrome or the Amazing Spider-Man 2 syndrome, and they would pack too many characters in. And I feel it was on the verge of that, but it didn't quite go over. There's a lot of moving pieces here. But, and I had gushed before about Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman. She just has that energy and that look and the feminine wiles and how athletic and mobile she seems. That I just, again, I don't think a lot of people, it was her first choice, but she was perfect in that role. She was beautiful. She was talented.
Dude,
and you bought her as this chameleon.
And their chemistry, holy crap, man! Like you felt it. Like I was like, there's that moment, where he grabs her to hide her from the guard when they're in the mayor's, crime scene. And I was just like, whoo, like, especially coming out because the Anne Hathaway, she was fine for that character, but her and Christian Bale had no chemistry at all. And so I'm just like, you're just like, man, this is one. Whoo, yeah, they were hot together.
I really hated Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. I think she was a bizarre choice and just didn't capture that character at all.
No.
Zoe Kravitz, she hit on every level of being smart and deadly and seductive and adaptable in a variety of situations. And Yeah, there's not a whole lot more I can add to that. She just nailed the role, and you were right. They had some steamy chemistry, and that was good to see because they're supposed to have that, and we got that in Batman Returns, I believe. I think we had good chemistry and whatnot, but I think this even beats that. They work together well.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got to see a lot of her too.
So there are a couple of chats here. Logan says Michael Caine says his favorite Alfred. He's a great Alfred. Again, it's just maybe because it's Michael Caine. It's the most quotable Alfred because you do that Michael Caine voice. And he's like, "Oh, Master Wayne."
Yes.
Alfred Go, I always love. I think Sean Petrie is my favorite from any live action, but the guy who played him in the cartoon has that perfect blend of like, I'm the family he's got left, but also like I'm not gonna take his shit either. Like he'll be mildly back to Batman. And then Joseph said I'm late to the party, but you did not like the movie. Okay, Joseph, I want you to drop some stuff in the comments. I want to talk about what you did like about it, because we both really did, and honestly, I'm a little shocked at how much you did like the movie. I'm happy because I really did like it, but I was like, I don't know how I couldn't read you, let's say, and we did that kind of on purpose, where we weren't going to talk to each other about whether or not we liked the movie or not. So it was a surprise. But yeah, if you I want to know some of the things you didn't like about it, because we both obviously liked it a lot. So I'm curious what some things didn't work for you. We can talk about that stuff. But no, I think we are going to get a lot of Andy Serkis. I like that. There is that moment. It was the first time I was like, oh, are they gonna kill Andy Serkis in this movie? And then I like to throw back
That's
to
what I thought.
The old lady that was with Batman for no reason. Like he has this old lady.
Yes. She apparently has showed up in other media, but I don't recall her at all. So.
Well, I always think of there was the old lady in the 66 one. They were always like, Alfred knew that Batman and Robin were Batman and Robin, but like Aunt Gertrude or whatever her name was, like she didn't know that they were Batman and Robin. So there were always like these weird like, nothing and
Sure.
whatever. Like we're just two dudes hanging out, right, Robin? Alfred show. Somebody said they're doing an Alfred series. They do have one. It's called I think it's like it originally airs on Epix, but I think it's on HBO called Pennyworth. That's supposed to be a young Alfred. I haven't seen any of it though, so I don't know how that stacks up. I know HBO is doing a Penguin show, which I'm 100% on because we'll get to Colin Farrell. But that Penguin show is really good. And then the idea, I guess they changed it. They were originally going to do like a more like Gotham Central kind of like police show with the Gotham PD, but I think they're going to do Matt Reeves said it was kind of a horror show involving the inmates of Arkham, so they'll be able to cover different inmates kind of in this world. So I think that will be kind of a way, again, fantasy booking, just a kind of a different way to maybe cover some villains that this would fit in this world, but not wanting to do the same kind of serial killer shtick in every Batman movie.
Yeah.
But I'm
the serial killer. But the serial killer aspect and the Riddler worked really well in this movie.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh. Well, I love the plot and the writing, and this version of the Riddler said grounded a little more in reality, but he's such an overwhelming force, and so he is so incredibly smart and always several steps ahead, and he has such a formidable intellect and this ferocity and anger in him that it shows in the scenes he's in and Paul Dano's acting and the writing. I mean, not what I would expected out of Riddler, but I was not disappointed in seeing how things slowly unfolded. And when you think, okay, he's caught, that's it. No, that's not it. And him inspiring people to do these atrocities and just he got so farther along in his plan than I thought he would. I thought, oh, Batman will stop the bombs and in the nick of time. Nope. He The bombs go off, Gotham's flooded, and things go to shit real quick. But I think that was good. They went all the way with it and went with. He didn't completely stop it. Things went wrong. Things went very wrong. But he's going to have to learn how to work. Batman's going to learn how to work through this loss. And the Riddler is such a fantastic foil throughout this movie, constantly throwing him for a loop, and all the clues he leaves, and how much he's able to get in Batman's head. One of the greatest Batman villains in cinema. The only other one for me, I don't think he quite eclipses Heath Ledger's Joker, but he's up there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And see, the Riddler has always had a. I remember, and I want to get to some of the stuff that some people have said, but no, I remember very distinctly, and it would have been about the time we would have been hanging out and stuff, was when they used to give away the comic books at United. And I would never forget, I got an issue, and it was an all-white cover. It was an all-white cover, and it was a close-up of the Riddler's face, and he's telling that joke, what's red and or black and white and dead all over. And then in the background of the drawing is like Batman on his hands and knees, and he's holding his guts. And it's just like a Tarantino flood of blood filling the bottom of the cover. And that image was just like, the Riddler's cool. All right, I'm down with the Riddler. And Jim Carrey was like, he's kind of the Joker, but he's the Riddler. Whatever, that's fine. He's doing a combination of the Joker meets Frank Gorshin. But no, I like this Riddler. And I like that he has that switch where that moment where he's saying Bruce Wayne, he's saying it, and Batman's like, oh shit, okay. Just, all right, here we go. And he's looking at the camera. And then he says, like, oh, we almost got him. But it doesn't matter who you are behind that mask, because that mask is who you really are. And so it keeps going with that. Does he know? Does he not know? Does he care? That's not the fun part for the Riddler. It's the game he's playing with him. Paul Dano was great. And I love because he always constantly looks like a 15-year-old boy. It's so terrifying.
He is, with those clear flame glasses. He's scary as hell.
All right, so Joseph says, from what I understand, it's his first year as Batman, and it's always seemed like he was a step behind. So I'm trying to not be too picky, but some of the things that happened, I just don't feel like what happened between Batman and Alfred. Yeah, I think it is like he talks about this is like year 2. And I know a lot of people talked about the emo, and I think even Becky brings up about the kind of the emo-y Batman. And I think it's mostly, I don't think the hair is as emo as it, like when you think of like the memes of finally they do the black liner, so he does have the black around his eyes. But I don't know that he said a lot of his Bruce Wayne kind of was taken from Kurt Cobain, which I don't see that necessarily as much as just kind of like, this is a Batman who, he has that moment where he's like, I don't give a shit about Bruce Wayne. Like, I don't care. Like, they kind of portray him as like a young, like when he comes out, they almost treat him like Howard Hughes. They're like, oh my God, Bruce Wayne's like out in public. They treat him like a recluse. And so I think that kind of, he's not Bruce Wayne. He is purely Batman. It's one of those things like they kind of do it, and it's a joke I made, and it's the thing I don't like in that movie of the Dark Knight movies where Batman is alone on a rooftop and he still talks out loud to himself with the Batman voice. But it is really like he's Batman. Like Bruce Wayne died in the alley with his parents, and Batman's here, and every once in a while he has to put on the mask of Bruce Wayne. And I think because he doesn't have that, he lashes out at Alfred, at everybody. He doesn't care. This is the mission. This is what we're doing. Everything else can F off. And I think that's the way they're playing it. Now, did they do that maybe as well as they could have? Maybe not. But also, wasn't there originally like a 4 or 5 hour cut of this movie? like the original like cut of like the not a director's cut, but like the assembly cut was like 4.5 hours long, something like that. So
I think so. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, you cut where you could, and like you said, Alfred isn't in it much, and I want more of him, but I also don't feel like he's under. Like you don't not get enough of him. Does that make sense? Like you have those moments in with him where he is with Alfred. He's standoffish. He's kind of a big old dick. And then when Alfred is in the hospital and he finds out about Alfred really is the only family he has left, and that fear he hasn't conquered yet, then you have that moment where they join hands. And to me, that symbolizes the relationship that they're going to be having throughout Batman and their life. But I think all that was choice enough. They handed it correctly. Then also hate everything kept going back to that club without. Dude, the fact that Batman just rolled up on a nightclub and knocked on the door and was like, "Hey, how's it going? You mind if I come in?" And he proceeded to beat his way John Wick style at that club. I love that. And then the idea of him not even caring after where he comes back just as Bruce Wayne and says the exact same thing Batman does. Like, I like that he's just like, whatever. Like, I don't even give a shit. It's whatever.
Damn. Yeah, that's one interesting thing in this movie is everyone's remarkably calm about Batman walking around and just interacting with people. Shows up at a crime scene, they're like, "Oh, he's here." It's like, that's pretty weird. And just showing up to the club, you're like, "Hey, want to talk to the Penguin?" It's like, oh, we're kind of used to this guy now. It's kind of an unusual way it unfolds, but it's, I don't know, I think it adds a little humor to it. Everyone's just staring. It's like, you're going to let that weirdo in here? Yep.
Yeah. I like what you say when he walks in and the cops are like, "What the, like, are we all cool with Batman being here? Because what?"
One thing I can appreciate this movie didn't do was we did not need to see Thomas and Martha Wayne get shot in Crime Alley again. I think we've seen enough of that for a lifetime. I don't need to see them die anymore. It happens. They didn't have to show that and play that out. I'm glad they didn't. They can allude to it, but how many times have we seen those people shot to death and see the?
I'll even say this. Yeah, the Pearl. Yeah, I'll even say this. I like the idea of the desanctification of the Waynes. Like, they weren't perfect people. You know, there've always been like these two martyrs of Gotham. I like the idea of like she was probably a little bit crazy, and he, you know, maybe had his hands a little dirty. They weren't spotless, and I like that they did that with these characters instead of just the obligatory watch these two die so that the Batman can rise.
No, I think it was great that just he had that, you know, Bruce Wayne has that realization of my parents may not be exactly who I thought they were, and there were some issues, but how do I reconcile that? I thought it was great they went that direction and added more emotional depth to the character. Yeah, I liked it. I love the way the plot unfolds, and I didn't see where it was going. As the Riddler's plan keeps on going forward, and you see it's all these layers are getting peeled back, and you see the seedy underbelly of Gotham and how it's all interconnected, and how deep everything runs, and how these are some of the sleaziest politicians and whatnot in this movie, and it's great. It's hard to feel bad for them when they brutally die.
Oh, good old, was it Peter? Is it Peter Skarsgård?
Yes.
Yeah, I see. Even there was one part going back the second time. It didn't bother me as much as the first time, but there is that moment of, and they kind of drop it pretty easy. Like the neck bomb, I'm fine with. Like, I watched the documentary Evil Genius. You can build one of those. Like the whole rat trap thing for a minute there, I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this. And then we kind of go away from it. Yeah, I love that he's just in the club when she's in the club with the eye contact lens, and he's just like, that's a member of that, like that's a politician, that's holy, like you expect like a priest and a rabbi to be in there together, like, and like, oh, that's the school teacher, like it's just like they're all terrible people in this club, just doing these drugs.
And it adds to the gravity of Gotham doesn't just have problems. Gotham has serious, horrible, foundational problems. But he's still going to try to save it and fight for it anyway, in spite of the overwhelming odds. And I think the movie ends on the note of he has a lot of work to do. It's going to take a while to rebuild. I like the scene at the end where he's helping the people after the flood. I think it's a moment of growth, and he realizes that I can't just be the angry vigilante that goes around punching people. I need to be a symbol of hope, and I need to help people. I love that moment where that woman on the stretcher grabs his arm, and they lock eyes, and it's just it's like a moment, he has that epiphany in that moment. I felt that he's going to have to change the way he does things, but
yeah,
I may be in the minority. I really like that moment, and it showed him evolving as Batman.
No, with that moment when he's putting the girl on the thing and she grabs him, and he grabs her hand, like I was just like, you're in a Batman movie and you're a 36-year-old man. You do not tear up right now. You get it together, Gracie.
It was moving though, and it's just part of what selling is man, Pattinson can act, and he sold a lot of the emotional gravitas of this role so well, having to act while wearing eye makeup and a suit, body armor, and a mask, and he does it. That's it. A lot of this working a Batman is based. Him working as Batman is just based off his skill and the role and making it believable. I hadn't seen a lot of movies he's in, but I know I've seen enough to know he's very well regarded. And if people are like, oh, Twilight guy, yes, he was in Twilight a million years ago, but that doesn't define who he was as an actor. Kurt Russell was in a bunch of terrible live-action Disney movies. Arnold Schwarzenegger was in Hercules in New York. All these things, if you go back and Tom Hanks was in Mazes and Monsters. We can't base everything off their earliest roles.
Do you remember when we found out Heath Ledger was going to be the Joker? And you're like, the guy from The Knight's Tale is going to be the Joker. Get out of here. That's ridiculous. That's stupid.
Oh, I was appalled at that casting decision. I couldn't believe it. And look how it turned out. I mean, one of my favorite movie villains ever. And he pulled off the role so incredibly well. And I think Robert Pattinson threw a lot of people for a loop here because there was a lot of skepticism. I was very skeptical, but he pulls it off. He makes me believe. And that's not something a lot of guys who put on the cowl have been able to do in a variety of mediums. Just make me believe that this dude's Batman. But yeah, I'm impressed, and I don't say I was wrong about a lot of my initial thoughts about this.
Yeah, Becky brings up a good point, and I kind of want to expound on it. She says that it was Bruce Wayne he came to help rebuild. Batman catches the criminal, and then Bruce Wayne rebuilds the city. I kind of feel like it's a great moment. Maybe I'm reading too heavy into it based on our background. But to me, it's the moment when he cuts the wire and then goes into the water as Vengeance, and he comes out of the water as Batman, like as the hero of Gotham, as opposed to the rage of Gotham. I'm assuming that's what they're going for. Maybe not. Maybe that's just me reading into it, but I kind of feel like that was the moment of what they were going for.
I could see that. And, pulling out the flare and leading those people to safety, it was a very meaningful transitional moment for Batman at that point. And I love that they did that at the end. They showed the action, they showed his rage, and you showed him realizing there's a different way. There's a better way. And yeah, this movie just impressed the hell out of me. So I got to wrap up before too long. Do we have any more questions or anything else you want to cover?
We'll get into I want to cover. Well, I mean, obviously the penguin was great, but I want to talk about, to me, one of the most important parts of this movie, and that's the music. I know we all love the Danny Elfman score, the Batman March, but dude, the music to this movie, like Michael, what's it, Gina Carlo or Michael, the guy who composed the music to this movie. It's my favorite Batman score ever. It's so, like, it's almost like a funeral march, that low piano. It's so, like, you just feel it. And then, like, the Riddler music, the Riddler theme incorporates Ave Maria through it, and the Catwoman score, just the whole score. And the music this week was the best Batman music we've ever had, over Elfman's score, which I love, but I think this is the best music.
Oh yeah, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Jeffrey Wright as Gordon. That is his name, right? I got that right?
Yeah. He honestly, I know a lot of people think this movie there was no humor in it, which is like, no, I think to me, he is the humor of this movie, and he's great at it because he has to be the guy who's like, yeah, that's right, I'm with this guy, and we're working together. That scene when he's in Batman's face and he's like, listen to me, you're gonna have to punch me real hard in the face, okay? Take these keys.
No, his character sees the humor.
He's so great.
He sees the humor and absurdity of the situation he's in. And Jeffrey Wright's a great actor anyway, and it's just, he's got the look, he's got the sweat. Excellent casting. And I don't know how much we talked about this of Colin Farrell as Penguin. Not who I would have expected. They did a great job with the makeup. I noticed something in one scene, a nice detail. You can see in one scene he's wearing high-heeled boots to boost his height, which is a very Penguin thing to do.
Really?
They put a lot of details like that into his character. Yes. You'll notice in one scene, you'll see him outside of a building, and he has really tall heels on his boots, because Penguin's associated a really short guy. And it's details like that. And the fact the voice didn't sound like Colin Farrell, it didn't look like Colin Farrell, but what a brilliant version of the Penguin.
Yeah. There's only one scene where you can kind of see through the makeup, and it's a scene where he smiles. You remember, Amber, it's like the one scene Amber saw, like, there's a scene where he smiles just a little bit, and you can see Colin Farrell in the eyes. Otherwise, like, if you'd have told me that was whoever guy they pulled off the streets and like, guess what, buddy, you're the Penguin now. Like, okay. And I think his show's gonna be great.
Oh, I think, man, I'm excited for that. Because I think I love seeing the Penguin in a variety of mediums. I think he was great in animated series. Awesome as Danny DeVito in Batman Returns. And I really like his version of the Arkham game series. So, and that's a little bit of what Colin Farrell's Penguin reminded me of, is the one from the Arkham series. So I just, again, unusual casting, but stellar casting.
Yeah, no, all around, this movie was cast perfectly. Like, every one actor that's the funny thing is, every actor who came up, you're like, I don't see them in that role, and then they totally crush it. Like, it's an impressive feat.
I think that's a lot of the reason it impressed me so much was it just exceeded all of my expectations so well. And I love going into a movie and being surprised. Like when I went to see Dune this year with Logan, I was expecting to be good, and it was great. I love it when a movie can do that. Then really restore some of my faith in the magic of cinema. And man, I can understand there are aspects of this where people wouldn't like it, but I think this is a great direction for Batman to go. I'm excited to see what happens next. I don't know who he's going to go against next. I know due to what happens at the end, people are thinking the Joker, but who knows? I don't know. There's
actor, I
so
think,
many
would be an
rooms in the Rogues
amazing
Gallery.
Joker. No, I think that actor would be an amazing Joker. Can we not with the Joker? Like, or maybe like Batman 4 or 5 we do the Joker. Like, let the Joker rest. Like, Batman is known for two things.
For a while, yeah.
Being the world's greatest detective and having the greatest rogues gallery in all of comic book history. There's more than just 4 people. Like, let's pick some. And I think that's what the Arkham show will do. Will kind of, because I know a lot of people have talked about Freeze, but doing a grounded Freeze, like he's a serial killer who freezes his victims. And to me, that like, we did the serial killer, let's not do that. Or Professor Pig. You know, it'd be one that it's just another serial killer. I know a lot of people think the Court of
Victor's
Owls,
Mask,
which I do want to see. I don't think you do it movie 2. Honestly, I was watching something today, and a villain came up that nobody talks about. Hopefully, somebody in the chat will know. Deacon Blackfire from Batman the Cult, like the crazy guy who like creates the cult of homeless people, like underneath Gotham, and they're like slowly trying to take over the city. Like do something weird like that, like, because that fits in this world, but it's not like, oh, let's think with the Venom. People were like, he shot at Venom. I'm like, please, don't do the Joker, don't do Bane. Like, let's peel back some pages. Let's pick other people. Like, I don't think Bane fits in this.
Creepy dude with a dummy. I've always loved Bane as a character. I would like to see a really well done version of Bane. I get it shouldn't be in the next movie, but I would like to see it. A lot of it is I love the Nightmare storyline. And I don't think the previous 2 versions of Bane really did the character justice. So, but we'll see. But I agree. There's so many people to choose from.
No, even in
let's get something fresh and different in there for the next one.
Yeah, no. Even in the games, like Bane, the only good version, like an actual interpretation of Bane. Like, I like the cartoon one from the anime series, but from the Arkham Origins game, not the Arkham trilogy, the Arkham, the one that Montreal did. I think that's the best version of Bane we've ever seen.
Oh man!
But yeah, no,
they did such a good job. Yeah, I mean, there's other characters in that game you could incorporate. Copperhead. I would like to see Deathstroke at some point. The Electrocutioner now.
I want to Deathstroke.
Yeah, they could reenact the fight. But there's a lot to draw from, and I think they'll make some good decisions the next time around, because they can prove they can make a great Batman movie, and I think they'll make a great follow-up.
No, I'm pumped. And I think they said, I like that they're taking their time too. That it's not like, well, don't worry, because it's already been written and it's ready to go. Like they said, within the next 5 years we'll get another one. So I like that they are gonna, it's not a machine pumping these out like it kind of felt toward the end of Snyder's stuff, with like just WB trying to get it out. Let's get it out. Let's get it out. They are gonna let them get the best thing they can, and then we'll do it. But no, I'm excited. I think the TV shows will help fill that itch, and I think I'm excited. I will make a suggestion, though. I know a lot of people have been talking about Robin. I don't necessarily know if Robin. There's the great video I watched today. I don't know if you ever follow him on YouTube. Patrick Willems. He's done 2 amazing Batman videos that I'll always cherish. One was in defense of Schumacher's Batman Forever, and then the one he dropped this week is in defense of Robin. Why the movies are scared to do Robin, and why they should and shouldn't be
why Robin can and can't work in live action, and it is really he goes deep diving into some cool stuff.
Check that out.
But I don't know about Robin.
Again, probably not the right move next, but we'll see. They might surprise us.
No.
Well, any other pressing things in the questions? For some reason, I still can't see the comments, but
That's so weird. There's just a lot of discussion, comic book stuff related. I'm going back here a little bit, guys. Now, see, Logan brought up the extended cut for sure be rated R, probably 4 hours if not close. I think he said that this, like, they never, like, this, like I said, this is the most R-rated PG-13 I've ever seen. But I think that was the plan the whole time, just to see how far can we push the PG-13 and not make it R. I don't think that R was ever in question. They wouldn't let him do it. Like, honestly, I know the Joker did well as an R-rated movie. They're not going to do it with Batman.
No, I just don't see that happening. Well, you all said I'm still sick, so I'm running out of steam here. I want to thank everyone for joining us. I hope you all enjoyed this. I love getting to talk about this, and we'll do many more like this in the future. I'm still working and getting some reviews together. But and thank you for putting this all together, Jason, and getting the advertising out there. There is no one I'd rather talk about this movie with than you. And I'm glad we got to have this discussion.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I'll go ahead and let you know now, so you'll be because I'll probably mention here at the end before I close. I am actually going to see Eggs tomorrow, the new Ty West movie. Thankfully, because COVID has ravaged the theaters around me that would have never got that movie in a million years are getting it. So I'm actually going to get to go see it. So that review will be up Sunday.
All right, y'all. Have fun with that. I'll see you all later. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Talk to you all later.
All right. Bye.